Uh-oh, that can't be right. Hello everyone, and a warm welcome back from me and from the troublesome Influenza. By a quirk of fate, the Influenza is actually my main car now. The BMW M135i that I had, I've sold to a friend. He hasn't been able to pick it up yet, but the insurance expired on it and I didn't want to renew it because it's another £600, so I can't drive that. Fred the Sprite is actually out of action at the moment. There'll be a separate video about that. And the Influenza is the car that I need to go, that I'm going to use to go shopping, and that's great because I've been dying to take it out. And let's see if that smoke clears. Right, so I can see a little couple of puffs of smoke in the rear view mirror. Or acceleration a little bit. An alien experience driving this. Still another little puff of smoke there. I'll get used to the gears. Right. Okay, a constant throttle, no smoke. Maybe it's clearing. I love that gear change. Almost makes it worth it, even if the engine's buggered. Okay, let's see now, accelerating out a bit, what it does. The rear view mirror. Can't see any smoke. I don't want to celebrate just yet, but those initial bits of smoke coming out, and then for a mile or so, and at the moment there's nothing I can see. Well, it's fully warmed up. I've accelerated a few times and it's definitely not smoking. I have to say, it doesn't feel like the healthiest engine though. I know these aren't super quick by modern standards, but it definitely doesn't feel like it should do to me. I don't know, that's just something, I don't know. But I am delighted. I mean, the smoke has stopped and that is so amazing. Well, shopping done, and I will of course be doing a proper test on the Influenza, so excuse the single camera, but now is not the time for that. And also, I think when it's running properly, because I'm not sure it is. So these cars obviously have an amazing following because I've had offers of help from all sorts of people. People have got in touch through Facebook and other stuff. Told me their stories about their 308s, 308, not 328, and they've been really helpful. One of the people who got in touch was Colin. He tried to buy this car in October or November, and he made an offer, but it wasn't accepted. Funnily enough, it was actually more than I ended up paying for it. But anyway, when he had it checked out, his tech said that it was only firing on 7 of the 8. I should have dismissed that because I thought that distributor cap was so bad that that had to be the reason why. But I've felt the headers as it was warming up, and indeed one cylinder doesn't seem to be firing up. That's number 3. So we're back to square one. I've checked already for spark and there is spark, so the only thing I can deduce is that one half of that carb isn't fueling the cylinder, which is very odd. And let's see if we can find out what's wrong with it. And airbox off for the 5th time in about 4 days. Okay, right, well, while I investigate the issues with that piston that's not firing up, let's take a quick look at the documentation that I got with the car, which is quite interesting. First thing to note, it came with a 308 sales brochure, which is a lovely, lovely thing, and I'm really pleased to have got that with it. A huge part of what makes these cars appealing is actually the fact that they take you back in time. And this brochure does exactly that. It is an amazing bit of 70s loveliness. Then we have here all the original books, manual. This is where the various dealers are. And this is the service book, which is jammed full of services pretty much every year in its car's history while it was in Holland. And then starting in '06, I think it was, is when the car was imported to the UK. And then we have a load of other documentation there on its UK servicing, some of which is in the book and some of which isn't. The only gap is between 2011, which is here, and the next one, which is 2015. I know during that period from the MOTs, the car wasn't used at all, so that kind of tallies and makes sense. So other things to note, I mean, it's had thousands and thousands spent over the years, so, you know, it hasn't been skimped on as a car. Other things to note here is the car not running on 8 cylinders, check leads, replace leads. That's significant because obviously the issue that I had when I couldn't start it, I traced to the distributor cap, and I think at the time they didn't look at that and they just replaced the leads, and maybe it made it slightly better for a while, but ultimately it was down to that cap. And you'll see why that's significant later on in the video. Next, and really important, there's an invoice here from Dump Barn. They're the great guys who delivered the car to me and where it was stored, who've been really helpful. And it shows there that they did a full service, including belts, in August 2018. So to be honest, even though, well, that's basically September, it's done a year and a half on those belts. I think it should be all right, really, as it is, even though it wasn't used with them. They should be okay for a while longer. Other interesting bits there, Bob the trimmer, £2,000 for those seats that were done. And then here, really important, a fuse box from the States, which is great because the original fuse boxes go wrong the whole time. And then one of the previous owners who did an inquiry with Ferrari and got some information on the origins of the car. So, all in all, pretty good really. The car's had a lot of money spent on it over the years, apart from a gap of 3 or 4 years. So that's looking all right, really. Had another look at the distributor and at the cap, and I found there was a contact I hadn't cleaned because this is like a dual distributor cap. So the rotor has 2 different arms, and this contact I hadn't cleaned to that arm. So it could explain the weak spark in that bank of plugs. Though weird that only one of them wouldn't work. Anyway, I've cleaned that up. There's also a bit of play there. I'm going to have to replace all this, but I thought I'd give it a go, see if it runs any better. What we're going to do now is I'm going to start her up again. You can hardly see me. And I'm just going to feel these exhaust manifolds, and fingers crossed that this one here, I don't know if you can see it, it's number 3, that heats up as quickly as the others. If it does, that's sorted the 7 out of 8 running. Let's see. Shut up, dog. Mucking around with the distributor and the cap and fixing it as much as possible doesn't seem to have made any difference. So I've ordered a new distributor cap, a rotor and a coil covering all those bases. It could still be the carb, but I don't know. I have a feeling it's not. So I am going to do a compression test on all the cylinders and see what we get. Uh-oh, that can't be right. So that was reading 75, but it was dropping, and it's now on 0. I mean, 75 is really low anyway, and also I think this isn't meant to be dropping. I've done a few others and on that front bank, and they were all reading around 50-ish. Which is not good, but I'm now starting to think there might be something wrong with this gauge, because I can't see that's right, really. I don't think it's working properly. Either that or my engine is really buggered, but it doesn't make sense. Well, I've got those bits arriving in a couple of days, so I will fit them and then we will try again, and I will also order another one of these. I think it's the only way forward. There must be something wrong with it. fingers crossed yet again on the influenza, and I'm hoping it'll be all right, but we'll see. A few of you have mentioned Ratarossa to me. I think he's called Scott. I have left him a couple of messages and I've emailed him, but I haven't heard back yet. He may be studiously avoiding me because he probably knows I'll be tapping him up for information, and I don't blame him if that's the case. But hopefully he'll get in touch at some point, because I'd love to see him and go over there and visit as well and see his cars. Also, a couple of you have said that this is like a poor man's Hoovy's garage. And although it's supposed to be an insult, I will take that and love it, to be quite honest. Any comparison to Hoovy, absolutely, Tyler Hoovy is a legend. I love his channel, I love what he's doing. Anyhow, that's that. Thank you all very much for watching. Do be aware, if you're watching for the first time, there are another 3 videos on this car from the first night when I got it. I went through the auction live, it's all recorded. Then the second one, which is other information I found out afterwards by speaking to people who'd seen it and so on before I'd even had the car delivered. And then the one before this, where I finally had the car delivered, it wasn't running at all, etc, etc. So really appreciate it. Please watch the adverts if you do, please, if you can. Please do share if you can as well, and let's see what happens going forward.